you haven't caught on by now, I'm John Becker, and I'm the Interim Director of Online Academic Programs here at VCU. We have what I know to be an incredible opportunity before us. We have been commissioned in some way to create amazing learning experiences for our students and to help them engage in these experiences in ways that will help them speed time to degree completion and to really succeed in ways that they haven't in the past. And I'm going to get a little bit to kind of where that opportunity comes from by talking you through a little bit about the vision that we have here at VCU. Partly from the past, but also kind of the vision that's new from some new leadership that we have here. And I do this by way of kind of the 30,000-foot view, so we all know kind of where we are, and then we'll kind of drill down into the specifics of what we're going to be doing over the course of the semester and that you all will be doing this summer. So, as some of you are aware, hopefully lots of you are aware, the university engaged in a process of planning for a strategic planning process. There's a task force in the spring semester last year, led by the great Jeff Nugent, right, Jeff? The great leadership of Jeff Nugent, led a task force to complete a report about online learning at VCU and what we have happening, what can be happening, what we might do. And that report it's really a fantastic report. And once our new website is up, it'll be up there. I promise. I know. I'm looking at Mary. I know. We promised you a long time ago we have that report. It's coming. I promise. It's coming. So in that report, we do a lot of things. The task force did a lot of things, but it essentially concluded that there are 4 main goals that we want to attack for online learning. And they're around support, which is about our current students and their needs. And this effort really is targeted at supporting our current students. It's about thinking about how online learning might help our current students take courses they need, when they need them, etc. There's an access goal, which is about essentially taking our existing courses and programs, mostly around the program level, and thinking of bringing in new students that might not have had access to VCU courses and programs that can now have access to them as they are online. There's a third goal about growth, which is thinking about new programs. What expertise does VCU have that we might afford folks that haven't had those possibilities before? So that's the third main goal in the report. And the fourth goal is about exploration. It's about this idea of innovation. What can we do that might really take advantage of the web in ways that we haven't been able to do so before? And I happen to notice about 3/4 of the way through the process that our goals happen to spell out the word SAGE, which I thought was pretty nifty for a higher education report. It's a good word, right? It's what we're after. So those are the main goals in the task force report about online learning at VCU. And those goals continue to guide us, but they largely guide us from kind of a macro policy perspective, right? It's all about, this is sort of the strategy at the university level. It will continue to be targeting those goals. What they don't necessarily get at, there's a bit of this in the report, but what the report doesn't necessarily get at are issues around teaching and learning. So we have these macro policy goals, but what do we want to do by way of online learning at the classroom level, the level of teaching and learning? Well, shortly after that report was released, VCU hired a new vice provost. It was Gardner Campbell, who lives down at the end of this hall. I encourage you to meet Gardner if you haven't done so yet. Jeff and I were on the task force. Oh, our favorite guest has arrived. Just a quick interlude. I told Jody and Jeff that we're a family-friendly place, and they had child care issues, and so there's our new instructor, everyone. At the level of teaching and learning, Gardner Campbell comes on board. Jeff and I were on the search committee that forwarded the names to the provost, including Gardner. And Gardner has a lot of experience around online learning, using the web for teaching and learning purposes, and comes with a very particular vision that I'm fully on board with. He and I are very much on the same page. I think everyone here on the fourth floor of the ALC is really excited about what Gardner brings to the table. And he has offered us a set of what he calls desiderata, or the sort of ideals that we want to aim for when we think about online learning. And so what are those? Well, these are the sort of three ideals. And we want to continue to explore these with you all this semester and throughout the summer, because they are ideals. It's not really possible necessarily to pin them down exactly, but this is largely what we're after. We're after this idea of distinctiveness. We're after this idea of high engagement and deeper learning. And I'll unpack those a little bit, but as I said, I want us all to kind of explore what those are, because you all really are sort of going to be the leading folks in this new online learning effort aimed at these new goals. And so you'll see as we progress through the semester, one of the early things that we'll do is we'll sort of engage in a collective writing experience around these ideals and figure out collectively what we think they mean. Let me try to attack them a little bit. So, as I said, it's hard to pin them down. And I think it's like the old Supreme Court opinion around obscenity. I can't really define it, but I know it when I see it. And so there's these things that Gardner has laid out, these ideals. I can't really define them, but I do. I feel like I know it when I see it. And so what I want to offer you today, and I've offered you in by way of some of the links that I sent in the invitation, are examples, things that when I see it, I say, that's what we're after. That's what we really want here by way of online learning. So let's sort of get at this idea of distinctiveness. Do we have any bowlers in the room? Anybody? Who's been bowling most recently? Mary?
19.
So Diane? All right, Mary and Diane, come on up here for a second. Yeah. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to stand facing them. When I count to 3, we're going to demonstrate our bowling form. Okay, so pretend you have a bowling ball in your hand. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. Have a seat. All right, so you notice what we all did, right? So, does anyone know who the world's #1 bowler is right now, by any chance? What are the chances, right? This guy named Jason Belmonte. Let me show you how Jason Belmonte bowls. This is the #1 bowler in the world. And he didn't do what Mary and Diane and I just did. He throws the ball with 2 hands, like I did when I was 8. He's the #1 bowler in the world. When he started out, people said, "You can't do that. That's not bowling." Well, there's no rule. It says you have to have one hand on the ball at all times. He has found sort of his what he believes to be a better way to do this. He's very distinctive in that way, but he's not just doing it differently for the sake of being different. He's doing it differently because he thinks he found a better way, and he's having lots of success with it. There are lots of examples like this in the sports world. High jumping, they used to jump forward, and then Dick Fosbury came along and said, "No, if you jump backwards," I said, "You can't jump backwards." Well, you can. In fact, you can jump much higher by jumping backwards. Lots of examples of that. And so when Gardner says we're after this idea of distinctiveness, for me it's figuring out, not just doing online learning differently, but doing it differently in a way that we think is better for our students. So that's what we're after by way of distinctiveness. Then there's this idea of high engagement, high student engagement. And high student engagement, I believe, is it's about using the web in the way that the web was designed to be used. It's taking advantage of the affordances of the modern web for teaching and learning, largely around what folks like Henry Jenkins have called participatory culture. What does that all mean? Well, for me, what that means is if we're going to take advantage of the web for teaching and learning in ways that take advantage of what the web allows us to do now, and in ways consistent with what the web was developed to do, we need to think about learning as open social network. And those are not necessarily mutually exclusive terms. There's some overlap there, but that's okay. What do we mean by open social networked learning? And this is really important. This is really what we're after. We really want to get beyond this idea of content delivery. We really want to get at this stuff. So I can tell you what this means, but I'm going to turn to a colleague who actually met for the first time in New Orleans earlier this week, Amy Collier at Stanford, who's going to tell you a little bit about open online learning, and then we'll discuss it from there.